all about heart-centered leadership, humanity, and the audacity to go after what matters. Here we choose courage over comfort, risk over routine, and true impact over applause. If you're listening, you're ready to lead with empathy, embrace the unknown, and unlock a version of yourself that's bold enough to change the world. So let's lean in, let's lead, let's go for it. Okay, so today is an absolute highlight for me. I am getting the opportunity to bring to you Corliss, and she is an incredible woman and an incredible friend. And I'm going to have to read all of this because she has got so many accomplishments and credentials, and she's done so many amazing things with her life. So Corliss is a best-selling author, successful entrepreneur, coach, inspirational speaker, creator of Called to Lead certification program, and the founder of Lead Conference Canada. Beyond her successful business and entrepreneurial ventures, she's an incredible mother, super proud grandma, and I can say personally, she's an amazing friend. Welcome to the podcast, Corliss.
Oh, Trev, I cannot think of one place in the whole world I'd rather be than right here with you today. Honestly, I'm so proud of you. This is incredible.
Yeah, well, thank you. And just so that everybody knows, we were talking about this right before we started, and I told Corliss. So Corliss is the one that really got me into speaking, and she believed in me long before I believed in myself, and saw something in me that I had never even thought of or recognized from speaking and leadership and whatnot. And I believe the first podcast I ever did was on your show, actually, Corliss.
I think it was actually Conversations with Corliss. But Trev, I have to actually say something right off the bat because you were so easy to believe in. And I think that's one of the things that as we get older and as we work with people, so often we can see things in other people that they don't see in themselves. And it's probably what makes this work so incredibly rewarding. But I only know this because it actually has happened to me. I've had people believe in me or see things in me that I didn't see in myself. So I think I just really want everybody to know that you can develop this within yourself. And you can do that by surrounding yourself with incredible people like Trevor. So I'm so glad you're listening today.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm blushing now. So I know that the listeners are going to get so much out of this conversation and get so much wisdom from you, Corliss. But I want to ask you a question, and I start off usually trying to challenge anybody who's on here with a question that kind of goes deep. And for you, I want to ask, like, of all the things you could have done, you could have gone and got a job. You're super capable and smart and talented, and you could have worked 9 to 5, and probably in a lot of ways had a simpler life and potentially even more stability. What in the hell makes somebody like you decide to do what you're doing? Because I know that that it comes with some challenges that often people don't even get to recognize.
Well, I think I was a natural born leader. This goes right back to being a child where I remember my aunties, my uncles, my parents, the teachers always being, why can't you just sit and listen? Why do you have to do it that way? And I'd always be like, well, it's because I'm a leader. Like in my own mind, I was a leader before I was a leader. But I didn't always know I was an entrepreneur. It actually took a journey to get here. So you have to have kind of that mentality right off the bat of like, I want to dream a dream. I want to be in control of my own life. I want to bet on myself. But for me, it actually took a little while to get there. It was like small incremental steps. So when I was a young adult, I was exposed to an opportunity to like get a free honeymoon. Actually, I was only 19 years old and I wanted a honeymoon. My my honeymoon was going to be at a fishing camp in northern Saskatchewan, and I just didn't want that. And I was presented with this opportunity to sell Eaton's account cards, and if I sold the most, I would get a trip anywhere Thomas Cook flew. And I was like, I'm doing that. And sure enough, I did that. We got our free holiday and our free honeymoon. I did go fishing, but I also got a second honeymoon that was took me to Mexico. So it was like in those times where each time I did something and I achieved it, I realized there that I was a natural entrepreneur. I was a natural leader. That if there was something out there and I could go and get it, I would go and get it. And I grew into believing in myself as an entrepreneur, and I had to develop those skills, but it wasn't like instant. It took a little while for me to actually develop that. And then it became a conscious decision where I no longer want to give up the freedom of the life that entrepreneurship gives me. And yeah, lots of times it's super hard. I often talk about the roller coaster of entrepreneurship. It's like you're up one minute, you're down the next, and you have to like emotionally power yourself up to bring yourself up all the time. But here's the thing, if you can develop the skills and the belief in yourself to bounce back a little bit faster, the valleys aren't quite so low, and you start to become more consistent and you can pull yourself up a lot faster, and that makes it all worth it.
Yeah, well, I always love. I could listen to you all day, all the time, and how you speak about leadership and how you inspire people and how you use personal references. You talked about the emotional roller coaster, and I often refer to it. Entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur is like being on an emotional elevator. Actually, um, I found that it went from the basement to the 10th floor. I was either on the highest high, but then I would go all the way back. It was like riding that drop of doom at the amusement park. And I remember thinking often, I just wish it would stop at the 5th floor just for 1 minute, just so I could see the view from there, because it always felt like I was like, oh my God. And it never felt like there was even this sort of gradual down. And,
Mm,
and so for me, it's been, yeah, it's always been like, oh my God, this is awesome. Oh my God, this sucks. Oh my God. And so,
the up and down. You know, I will refer to entrepreneurship as the best personal growth development program out there. Like, you will learn so much about yourself and what you're capable of. It will challenge you. And you ask me why it's worth it. It's worth it to me because I want to live a full and meaningful life. And if I put myself into situations where I'm building somebody else's dream, I'm not going to challenge myself that way to actually experience that. And I want to give myself the freedom in this lifetime to make sure that I live it to the full potential. And entrepreneurship gives that to me. So it really motivates me. The other thing is that entrepreneurship, when you look past the surface of the challenges and you think about what your example is as a leader, as an entrepreneur, and that you are influencing and impacting everybody around you by how you rise when it's low and how you push yourself up that coaster or up that elevator to get to the top, and then you inspire other people. If you can do it, they can do it too. And it really pulls in meaning in everything you do, both the highs and the lows.
yeah, and Corliss, I know you have a mission that is way, way, way greater than yourself, and I believe that
Mm,
that is oftentimes, what you draw energy on to get through those tough times. I also know that you are a very authentic and vulnerable leader yourself, and that when you're going through things, you're not afraid to, to share and talk about it and reach out to
mhm,
people. And I think that's not only inspiring, I admire it, because it's really hard. It's hard for anybody, especially people, as outward facing as you and as publicly facing as you, and with all the attention that you get, to actually show up as a human being sometimes is really, really,
mhm.
really hard. But life can be messy, and I think that you showcase that in a way that's just like real living, and I believe that's something that helps others too. And I know that's not easy for you, but can you speak a little bit about that as well? Because I think it's something that is admirable.
Yeah, I can.
Hmm.
So, what I believe is that underneath it all, we're very much the same as human beings. I think we experience a lot of the same things. I think we go through a lot of the same challenges. Our circumstances, our background, what we do for a living, all those things are going to vary. But underneath it all, we all experience shame. Sometimes we think we're not enough. We question our worth. We wonder if we're capable. We feel a little lost sometimes. All those things happen. And then those are the internal things. And then there's the external things that we're all going to go through. We suffer loss. We have a setback. Somebody, says or does something to us that's unjust or unfair. We have all these similar internal things that we face, external things that we face. And it is my belief that when you share your experiences, and not just what happened, but how you made your way through it. And you use that part of your story to communicate with someone else, even if it's in real time, meaning I'm going through this right now. And here's the things that I'm working on to pull myself through it. And you come out the other side, Now you show somebody else that they can do it too. And to me, that's actually what real leadership is. Real leadership is about owning who you are, all parts of your story, past, present, and future, stepping into what you do have control over, which is who you are in this moment, embracing that power and really owning that, and then using it for a purpose. And that's actually what inspires me because, like, when I think about, my own journey, or I think about the journey of other people and what they're going through, I recognize that, number one, I'm not alone, and either are they. And if somehow I'm willing to, be honest about what my experience is and then share the lessons that came through it, I believe that the impact goes far beyond anything that you or I can see. And I just hold on to that. Like yesterday, I was actually having a tough day. Not yesterday, last week. It was a couple days ago. I was having a super tough couple of days. There's some changes happening in my life that I'm really struggling with. I don't want them to change. I really want them to stay the same. But one thing that's going to happen in life is things are going to change, right? It's just a constant. It's never going to remain the same, nor should it. But sometimes a little harder to embrace it than other times. So how I navigated that was, number one, to stop and say, okay, what's really going on within me right now? So this is where I can access my own tools and my own development and the things that I know, to be really aware of that. And then I reached out to people who are really safe in my life, where they're not going to judge me. They're going to understand and help me work through it. Then we do that. Now I actually come out the other side with, like, recognizing I can make a mindset shift, I can make some new decisions, I can, build in some personal strategies that are going to support me in moving through that. And now I have something to share with someone else that will help them in the same situation.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that about you. I know that, well, we're friends, but I also follow you a lot and I get a lot from that. And there's so many nuggets of wisdom in what you just talked about. One is, I think that we have an opportunity when we share about the struggles as well as the successes and how we get through those dark times. I believe it's an opportunity to turn our struggles into strengths and to really,
Mm,
not only for ourselves but for others who are going through it. And you spoke about something that I learned years and years ago, and I was around 40, I think, or a bit older at the time, that at an emotional level, we're the same. We go through different
mm,
experiences externally, and the reason I'm sad might be the different than the reason you're sad or happy or excited or
right.
angry or whatever. But when you talk about being happy, sad, mad, blissful, in love, all of those things at an emotional level, all of us can relate to at least the feeling. And I had a friend, I've told you this before, but I had a friend who told me one time that I no longer had to suffer from terminal uniqueness. And
Mm,
at the time it was but he was doing it for the shock factor. And I believe that, you just exemplified that well, that honestly, so often, and I have felt at times really, really stuck in that I'm in this thing and that nobody will understand. And that, because I was a leader, certainly in an organization, and I had stuff, and I thought that nobody would ever understand the feelings I was having, where I was depressed and sad and scared and all of those things. And it turns out that actually everybody does, because
mhm.
everybody feels those things. So I think that I think that you just covered so much awesome stuff there in that little short bit.
I think the more that I think about it, it's like we get to this age and stage. I think I'm at the age and stage of life where I want only meaningful things. And if it doesn't align with, like, something bigger or deeper within me and the purpose for my life, then I just really don't feel fulfillment from it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think I love the most is when I see people who are super real and not like blubbering idiot all over the place. Because I think that's sometimes what people think vulnerability is.
Yeah.
Vulnerability is not that. Vulnerability is just being at the place within yourself where you're aware of how it is that you're feeling, and being brave enough to actually share that and to talk about the experience, whatever that might be. And that is what really connects us, real human being to real human being, is when we can be honest about both our successes and our failures, our mistakes and our triumphs. When we can be honest about those and heal the parts of us that feel a little bit broken by those experiences, now we have a playbook. literally, to share with somebody else, to support them with whatever they're going through.
Yeah, I love that. And as we said at the beginning, Corliss, you're so accomplished in so many ways, and I want to talk to you. You developed a program to help people. Not only you've done a lot of coaching and mentoring with individuals and groups, and you've changed and had a massive amount of impact on people's lives. And I know that you have dreams and goals and aspirations to just amplify that even more, and you started a program to help actually people become
Mm-hmm.
certified as a coach that gets to learn from you and your materials and to be able to take that. And I believe that's how really you're going to have the most impact on the most people.
Mm.
And can you share a little bit about that? I want to say that I actually took your Corliss's Call to Leader certification program, and so I am a Call to Lead certified coach, and very proud of that.
And you're amazing. So before I answer that question, Trev, would you give me permission to share something I've actually never shared on a podcast?
Yes, please do.
Okay, this is real human being. I feel safe to share it here. Anybody who'd be listening to your podcast obviously is in the same space of like wanting to learn and grow and do real leadership and is willing to be non-judgmental. But when you said that I'm so accomplished and that I have impacted lots of people, it instantly brought me back to thinking about how I didn't know that for most of my life.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that for the first 50 years of my life, I did not feel like I was enough. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't know that I had a lot to offer the world. And as an entrepreneur, I would seek so much outside external validation, just looking for somebody to tell me that I was good enough, that if I got that award or I reached that level of success, that now I was, successful as a human being. And one of the things that that experience has taught me is that it doesn't matter what goes on the outside.
Hmm.
It's how you feel about yourself on the inside. Your identity needs to match where you're going. And if you're looking to level up your life in any way, then what you need to do is really go within yourself, which is exactly what Called to Lead is all about. Called to Lead, that certification program was developed to help people grow from the inside out. So, what I mean by that is it has to start with you. You cannot effectively develop and support other people, to coach them, to mentor them, to lead them, whether it be in your home, your career, your community, unless you have some sort of level of growth within yourself. You can't bring out the best of other people unless you have that connection to it within yourself. So the Call to Lead certification is really about taking people on a journey of like, who am I really? What do I believe to be true about myself? Examining the past, understanding and assessing where our self esteem is at, our sense of self worth, and really learning to love ourselves as to where we are, where we've come from, so that we can move into who do I really want to be, and what are the mindset shifts that I need to take, and how do I build my identity, and how do I change this about myself. And the best part is that every single one of us is empowered to do that. There is, without any exception, every single one of us is responsible for our lives, and we're responsible for who we are and who we become. And you can put yourself in places like the Call to Lead program where you can actually learn it. You can develop it and you don't have to do it alone. I mean, that's exactly what that program was about right from the get go. And it's what I truly believe about succeeding in life is leading yourself first to then own the power to actually lead other people.
I love that, and again, I'm proud to be one of the people who have been certified by you. You said something to me one time, and I've actually used it when I've spoken on podcasts and in places. And you said, "Who you are is how you lead," and
Mm.
and I wrote that down, and I remember saying to you, we were in mid conversation, and I stopped, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, what did you just say?" And I want you to explain it, and then I want to share a little bit about how that just that phrase impacted me and the reflection that I had after you had shared it with me.
Oh, beautiful. Well, I mean, I'm not the first one to say that. That theory has been around for several years with thought leaders like John Maxwell, Brene Brown, where they talk, Robin Sharma, all of the ones that I've really studied. It is like it has to begin with you. So when you look up the definition of lead, so I'm going to just say it so that you don't have to look it up, but the definition of lead is an initiative and an action, an example to follow. So that's the actual definition of lead by Webster's dictionary. So when you think about that, sometimes people in, the old days would think about leadership as a title or a role or a certain position. And you might have a title or a role or be in a position or a manager, but leadership is about being an example to follow. It's about impact, it's about influence. And the whole idea of call to lead and everything else that I do, even from Lead Conference Canada to the personal leadership, is really about owning your fact that you are the influence. You are the one who is leading. You're the example to follow. And who do you really want to be? So, who you are is how you lead is about really understanding yourself first. It's about growing into a person that you are so proud to be so that you can show up in the world as the leader that you want to be, being the influence and the impact that you are proud of. At the end of the day, I'm convinced that there is not a person alive that doesn't want to get to the end of their life and say, you know what? I did good. I left it all on the table. Who I was in this world was a good person. I lived to my values. I knew who I was. I showed up as the best possible version of myself. I was a good example for other people. I've left a legacy of impact on others. I don't think there's anybody here that wants to get to the end and say, well, I could have done better. So it's about living it now.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. And when you had shared it with me before, it had an impact. And when I thought back, and I thought more of it from organizational business leadership title, and that perspective. And I remember when I was leading SharePoint through some really, really difficult times, and the team rallied. We did some amazing things. However, I remember that when I was stressed and when I was depressed, and I went through all of that, even as a leader, even when things were good in the company, sometimes I was struggling. I could tell that the energy of the organization was different. And when I was inspired and I was healthy, when I started to change my life and went out and started to do things that filled me up and changed my energy, it absolutely changed the energy of the organization. And I showed up differently. I showed up with a different perspective in life, and things changed. And also when I went home, when I'd go from a work day, if I was stressed and full of, fear and doubt and uncertainty and anger and anything else, or exhaustion, absolute exhaustion, I would show up as a different leader in my own house as well. And so when you talked about who you are is how you lead, I thought of all of the leaders out there who are like, they're just struggling and they want to be better. I know that because I get an opportunity to speak with so many of them. And I believe you said something that's so true at the end of the day. And I live my life this way, or I definitely try to. I want to, on my last conversation before I die, I want to be able to say, I went for it. You know what? I did my very, very, very best, and I went for it, and I didn't leave. There wasn't a lot left. The only reason there was anything left is because I ran out of time.
Amazing. So. And you live that every day. You said something really key. And recently I started actually teaching this in one of my keynotes. So I have a keynote that's literally for entrepreneurs. It's called You Are the One, the Inner Work of Entrepreneurship.
I love it. Oh my God. Say that again.
You are the one, the inner work of entrepreneurial success. And it is fire. I can't even explain to you that this is fire, probably because I've been an entrepreneur for 30 plus years. I know the struggles of an entrepreneur. I know that outward success is connected to inward, identity and how you feel about yourself. And I know what it takes to keep having to create a dream and to, pull it back to like manageable steps and to become the person that's capable of fulfilling that vision and that dream. But anyway, in this keynote, something came out of me and I was like, wow, that is actually a question we all need to be asking ourselves regularly. So whenever you're in a time of struggle, here's what I want you to do. I want you to stop and say to yourself, what do I need right now? So what do I need right now is a very different approach to problem solving as an entrepreneur, because sometimes what you need is to literally take a step back. Sometimes what you need is maybe you need to learn something. Sometimes what you need is maybe a support system or a mentor to kind of help you, shine a light on something that you're struggling with. So ask yourself, what is it that I need right now? Whenever you're in a time of struggle or a time of challenge and you can't see your way through it, stop and ask yourself, what do I need? And get really honest about that, because you know what? Your answers are within you. Oftentimes we go out into the world and we like read things, we try to source things, we hire people, we do all this stuff externally when really the answers are inside of us. So if you just stop yourself and say, okay, this is a struggle, but what do I need right now? Sometimes what you need is to completely walk away. Maybe you need to have a nap. What do you need? What do you need? It's such a simple question, but it'll help you source, find your what's the word I'm trying to find?
Resilience.
Yes, within yourself though. So instead of seeking it externally, you'll find it internally. Just by quieting yourself for a moment, calming yourself and saying, okay, what do I really need right now? A story comes up for me right now, so I'm going to share it just because somebody must need to hear it, why it came up. I haven't told it for years. But I remember when I was first starting my company, I was like, who's going to want to listen to me? Like, yeah, I got 25 years of, coaching and mentoring people in my organization, but like, who's going to want to do that? So I wasn't feeling confident. So at that time, I said to myself, okay, what do I need to feel confident? And the answer was actually to go and get a certification. That was actually my answer. I was like, I felt like I needed something that stated I had completed something and I was certified to actually teach this. So what did I do? I went and got it. Well, actually, what happened was I went to the school, local school, and I ended up kind of counseling the counselor. And I was like, hey, I don't think this is going to work for me. I think I'm a little more advanced than that. So, but it was funny because I wasn't confident when I went in there. I looked to her for confidence. I ended up coaching her. So I was like, okay. But then I went and got my coaching somewhere else. So the point is that we all have our own answers, but sometimes they just get lost. You can't see the forest through the trees. So when you stop and you ask yourself, what do I need right now? Like, what's my next best move? What do I need that's going to support me here? And a lot of times you can save a lot of time and a lot of money going externally because you actually have the answers within you.
Yeah, I love that. And I haven't had an opportunity to hear it yet, but I'm excited to, for sure. And so I know that outside of all of the accomplishments and all the things you're doing with your business, that your family is very, very, very important to you, and you have some lovely kids, and you're amazing, amazing mom. And how important is it for you doing what you're doing, to not leave a legacy, but to instill some of this into them? I mean, we're leaders. We're leaders in organizations, and we're leaders as business owners and entrepreneurs. And often, I know I'd never thought of myself as being a leader in my family, which maybe doesn't make a lot of sense to say that out loud, but it's true. I knew that I had certain role to provide and protect. I believe that's the number one thing of any man. I still believe that. It's a bit old school, but that's instilled in me. But outside of that, I never really thought about the fact that as a leader, all those things that you talked about, be an example, to all of my family. And so I want to know a little bit about that and how.
Oh, neat. What a great question. No one's ever asked me about this. I'm so excited to share about it. So first of all, I don't think you're alone in that at all. I think that most people don't consciously sit down and go like, oh, I'm leading my children. I'm leading my wife. I'm leading my home. I don't think we think about that, I just don't think it's a conversation that we are normally exposed to. So good on you that you're bringing that here for everybody. So, okay, so back to the question. It is everything. It is everything. For me, it actually is what inspired my entrepreneurial journey right from the get-go. And I decided I wanted to be, my kids were watching me. My daughters were watching me. I wanted them to see me go for my dreams. I wanted them to see me succeed. I wanted them to see me have it all, which is why I actually chose to have a home-based business so my kids could witness it. I used to bring them to work with me, and they'd go into their little not spelling bees. That when you go and you speak as kids, there's contests in schools, like they have it in the curriculum, and my kids always won, always. But they They'd watch me speak. They'd come to work with me. They'd set up at trade shows. I mean, it was so important for them, for them to see me chasing my dreams and to going after what I wanted. And I wanted them to see me when I fell. I didn't tell them all of that, of course, but I wanted them to see me rise to the occasion. I wanted them to see me keep my priorities, in front of me. I wanted them to witness that. It was everything for me. But here's the other thing. So what happened when the kids were in school one day? I remember it as clear as yesterday. This woman came over with her 8-year-old daughter, and she was coming over for some training, and she said, my daughter's not well. She's with me today. Can I bring her? And I said, sure, of course. So she brings her daughter. And when her daughter walked into the house beside her mom, I looked at her daughter, and at that moment, I was very aware of what I was thinking. Like I was, sometimes we think and we're not aware of what we're thinking. But at that moment, I was very aware. I looked at her daughter and I thought, I'm going to change your life.
Wow.
The daughter, not the mom.
Yeah.
I looked at the daughter and I thought, I'm going to change your life.
That gave me
because
chills.
I knew her mom was joining the company because she wanted to stay home with her children. She wanted to leave her job. She was doing this as the income that was going to allow her to do that. And I thought to myself, when I teach this woman how to successfully earn the income to raise her family and stay home with her kids, which is why she's starting, I'm going to change that little girl's life.
Huh.
So it was such a wow moment for me because I realized how very connected I was to the work that I was doing and why it mattered. To the rest of the world, they might have seen that I was selling candles, that I was in a candle company. And you know what? On the surface, that was true. But when you peel back the layers and you looked at what was really going on, I knew it was way bigger than that because I knew it was a vehicle for me to help change people's lives. So your business, your company, your work is probably different than mine. But I want to share that story because I really want to encourage you to think about what is it that your work does that helps people? What does your influence when you use what you know, whether it be in your home, in your career, in your community, when you use that, what's the effect of that? Look past the surface. Oftentimes we don't. And because we don't, we never really own our true power, our true purpose, because we just see it as like the top of the icing on the cake. And it's not. It's like the good stuff's underneath there. What is it that you do, who you are, everything that you do that impacts past the surface? Because like Trevor, I'll use you as an example. You come into my life on a random virtual meetup for a 15-minute cup of coffee that turns into several hours because we connected. So I'll never forget that as long as I live. Even if you and I hadn't become lifelong friends and our experience that we weren't still here years later, you impacted me. Everything that we do, how we show up, what we say to other people, everything we do, it's deeper than what we might understand on a conscious level. So really stop and think about that and then just show up in a way that is like knowing that you are influencing people around the world if that's actually what you choose to. Because every person you meet takes part of you with them as they go.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for acknowledging me. And very mutual. Meeting you changed my life for the better for sure, and you've had a massive impact on me. I think you said something, and I got chills when you talked about that daughter that came in and how because oftentimes, and I've been in lots of businesses and I've recognized that I have an impact on the person who works in the organization, like a direct impact. Sometimes it's mentorship, leadership. Often it's, we provide a good place for them to work and a paycheck. And I know that helps the family, but it took me a long time to recognize that the layers that happen when you help one person or you make one person feel better or you help them change, especially if you help them transform or change their life like you do, the impact that has. And I don't even know if you can actually measure it all the way down. Like I always say, healthy leaders create healthy leaders, and that can help create healthy teams, which helps create healthy families, which helps create healthy communities. But when you said that and that you were that aware of the fact that you were coaching, mentoring this lady, this woman, but the real impact was going to come with their daughter. I think that's profound, to be honest with you. You say something, and I've heard you say it often. It's a pebble in the ocean. And can you share that? 'Cause I'll butcher it.
Yeah,
Because
no, I know.
Yeah, because often I believe that we don't feel, and I felt that way many times, that we don't feel like we really have that much of an impact. You know, you meet somebody. I know now that holding the door open for somebody and smiling can change their day, because I recognize that when someone does that to me, the feeling it has. But when you use that analogy, it was something that stuck in my head. So can you share that?
Yeah, I will. Well, actually, it was a speaker. It's funny because last year I made the real decision, a conscious choice to actually move into motivational speaking, like as a professional. Like I'm going to do this. I'm going to go out and be for hire, and I'm going to go out and speak on stages. And when I was actually making that decision, like, am I going to spend most of my time coaching, writing, podcasting, hosting events? Like, what am I really going to do? And I was like, do I really make a difference as a motivational speaker? Like, do I really? How much difference could you make in someone's life in 1 hour on a stage, right? And I asked myself that question. And then this is another layer. So when you're talking about layers, it's like on the surface, how much difference do you really make? Okay, so that's literally what I was thinking about. And then I was like, do you remember that time you went to that very first personal growth conference and there was a speaker on the stage? Now you have to know this was more than 30 years ago. I was in my early 20s when this happened. It was the very first event that I went to. I was in the audience and the speaker said that we're each so powerful that if you were to toss a coin in the ocean on this side of the world, a tidal wave would hit on the other side. And I remember thinking, what? Like, I don't think so. Not me, not me. I'm not that good, but that's interesting. But I tucked it in my back pocket. I literally tucked it in my back pocket, kind of forgot about it. And then it was years later when I was in my business, I ended up getting connected with a woman from Scotland. And this woman wanted to be a part of my team, and I wasn't able to do that because I was limited to Canada, to where I could start people. But I ended up connecting her with a woman who could help her get started. So I made the connection for them. It was solely just to, connect them, help them get started. I wasn't getting anything for it at all. And then after that, I ended up coming home, and there was a message on my answering machine from this woman in Scotland thanking me because I changed her life.
Hmm.
And at that moment, I remembered what that speaker had said. The tidal wave had hit. I tossed a coin in the ocean over here, and the tidal wave hit across the world. And it was so profound to me that I finally understood it. And as I moved into my professional speaking decision that I'm going to go onto stages and that this is where I'm going to be, and can I make a difference? Yes, because that one thing that motivational speaker had shared at that time stuck with me for more than 30 years. That lesson stuck with me. And I thought, man, if I could go out and be on stages and share something that's going to stick with somebody for 30 years, what kind of impact could that have? How can I take all of my experiences and knowledge and share it with other people on a mass scale to impact their lives? And what could that look like? So I want to create tsunamis, really. But
But
the
and you
point
are.
is, good ones though. But
Yes.
the point is that when we look past the surface, we have to look past the surface. May I share just one more quick story? It's not about me, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a man, so I'm a single mom at this time, and my vehicle breaks down. It's just an absolute disastrous situation for me. I need a vehicle because I've got to be in two different cities, and it's just a mess. So my vehicle won't start. I'm at a trade show. My vehicle won't start. It's a Saturday. I've got to be somewhere the next day. And I was like, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. I literally don't know what I'm going to do because I need a vehicle. And I contacted a man who actually owned this little local garage. And I phoned him at home and said, listen, Ed, I'm super stressed. I'm so struggling. I need a vehicle. My vehicle's broke down. If I get the tow truck driver to bring it down there, can you look at it and maybe get me on the road? Ed says, you know what? Tell the tow truck driver to bring it down here. I'll look at it for you. I thought I had run out of gas. So I got the tow truck driver to put gas in it, still wouldn't start. We tow it down to Ed. He ends up lending me a van to go to Saskatoon the next day. So to my next event, he lends me a vehicle. And then on Monday morning, I am 100% sure that Ed is going to call me and say, your engine's gone or something. He had it all morning, Trev. This is a true story. He had it all morning, and then he phones me and he says, so I just wanted to let you know, I looked at your vehicle and I was like, oh no, like I'm ready for the hit, you know? And he said, could not find anything wrong with it. And I was like, well, it won't start. And he said, yeah, I know. So he said, I was scratching my head. I spent a few hours on it, couldn't figure it out. Then I went and got a little more gas, put it in, and it fired right up. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, just tow truck driver didn't put enough gas in it. You ran out of gas. Like, you just need a little more gas. And I started it. And sure enough, my vehicle was perfectly fine. It just needed some gas. But the point of this story is that Ed, this wonderful man, was there for me in a time that I needed it. He could have taken so much money from me, I would have had absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
And instead, Ed, because of the values that he lives by and how he lived his life, made sure that he did something to help somebody else. And through his garage, he could. So the whole idea here is to recognize that no matter what you do, even if you're not setting out to go and make a difference in somebody else's life, never underestimate that you are.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing it. We could talk forever. We do have to start to wrap it up. I want to ask you something. At Lean and to Lead, we want to get to the hearts of humanity. And so I'm going to ask you this question, and then we're going to let everybody know how to get a hold of you, and we'll wrap it up. But what is the most meaningful piece of advice you're going to leave your kids or your grandkids? Last thing about life, about
I think be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. There's going to be all kinds of things that happen in their lives and in your life and everybody's life that can pull us in a different direction where we're chasing things that are outside of ourselves that are really not aligned with us. And what I would suggest to you always, and my biggest piece of advice would be to pull it back and just be true to you, what's true for you. And if you ever wonder what's true for you, stay tuned because you can feel it. You can tell when it's right for you. Listen to that inner knowing and stay true to yourself.
I love that, Corliss. Thank you so much. And thank you for being on this podcast with me. I absolutely adore and love you. How do people get a hold of you?
Best is through my website, corliss.ca. I've got lots of stuff on there. So there's freebie offers, there's low price points, there's high price points. If you want to hire me to speak, then definitely reach out for that. We've got the podcast as well. But it's all on my website at corliss.ca.
Yeah, and anybody who's listening to this, reach out to her for any of the things that she mentioned, or just to get to know her and to hire her to help your organization, help you as an individual. Come and speak. She is amazing, and also has an incredible podcast that I, again, was so happy to be a part of. For all the listeners out there, please share the podcast, like it. We want to amplify this, and we want to thank you for listening to Lean and to Lead. Love you all.
Bye.